Detachment. One technique of diminishing the misdirected forces caused by your inner shell is to detach yourself from the emotional and pre-programmed qualities of your life and just be in the moment as an observer. Develop the inner shell to be a clear lens. The inner shell we are entwined with, and the predisposition to misconceive the world immediately came clear to me as a young man while walking on a Chicago street. I was on an errand for an employer in the somewhat empty but wide city sidewalks when a man quickly walked towards me from the opposite direction and rammed me in the shoulder with some force. It stopped me dead in my tracks. Once I recovered, I turned around to face him and yell in rebuke, but observed that he was continuing in his quick pace as though nothing had happened. I wondered, did he do it on purpose? Was it an accident? Was he too embarrassed to stop and apologize? Was he in such a hurry that he could not stop? Was he a conjurer of mischief and mayhem? From such a brief encounter, I realized I could only assume. I then realized I not only felt physically hurt, but had reacted with an emotional hurt. I was pre-wired to react in this way. My fundamental assumptions were predisposing me to a certain course of feeling. Subsequently, I was initiating a course of action that was more in harmony with my own mental predisposition than a reaction to the real circumstances which I had not yet assessed. As I became aware of this moment in time, my conscious objective evaluation of it allowed me to clearly frame the situation into a more accurate social and environmental circumstance. The rationalization of the situation seemed to diffuse the emotional components and allowed me to more clearly see the real nature of the experience. Ouch, yes. But I was suddenly so amazed at how the mind worked that I was exhilarated and pleased. I am not saying I had to be hurt to be happy, but sometimes you have to be knocked to your senses to appreciate what you've got, so to speak. My anger had been replaced by intellectual inquiry and introspective self-analysis. My enlightenment was that this anger was my fabrication. I was carrying that around. I owned it. It was mine to do with or do away with as I pleased. This is a universal concept for our human mental disposition. That was my first lesson in learning how to detach from the many feelings I unknowingly associated with my activities and experiences in the world. This is not to say feelings and assumptions are good or bad. It is to say they are a part of our normal waking life and are working in automatic mode with a lot of extra baggage that could be dropped and thus allow the mind to be that much less burdened and perhaps see the world that much more clearly. So, I had a personal key on how to start unlocking myself from anger, and I realized it was important to do so because anger and its cousin anxiety have a strong ability to seize the mind and focus its thoughts and feelings in ways that might not be as beneficial to us as we could envision otherwise. I now have many cognitive tools. The one I exemplified here was detachment. Detachment from the dude within, the inner shell.